Yesterday, I had this dream that the Republicans started fighting back and stood up for themselves. I was like, no, this can't be real. It can't be. I woke up, I was like, do my eyes deceive me? Are those Republicans with spines? I've never seen such a thing before. I've got to lay off the mushrooms. I think it's just like I'm taking so many drugs. I suddenly thought, whoa, do you ever wonder why it is so hard why do Republicans not fight back? I mean, they're right about everything. I mean, at least so far as they represent conservatism, they're right. And it always seems like they just fade away. They kind of get up right up there, and then it's like, maybe not, maybe we won't do it. And all that talk, remember when Trump was running? Now, when Trump started running, I was appalled. I did not like Donald Trump at all. And people kept saying to me, yes, but he fights. And I would say, yeah, but he lies and he bullies people. And yes, but he fights. And I thought, how important is that? Well, it turns out they had a point. It is important. It is important. And the fact is, he fights because he understands the media, because he is a media guy. This is why the media hates him so very much, is because he's them on the other side. He understands what they do and who they are, and that they have to be taken down and they have to be answered every single time, and they have to be made fun of and they have to be ridiculed and they have to be exposed. He gets that. He gets the media. And for all this time, part of the rap on Republicans, it's not always fair. Guys like Paul Ryan and Mitch McConnell are always being accused of cowardice and being soft and all this. But, they're institutional men. They're guys in these great big cat wrangling institutions. And they can't always do what some guy on the radio who's pounding his fist into his palm wants them to do. It's, well, why don't you do something? Well, because they're managing hundreds of people with huge egos. And sometimes you just have to be sly and slow and fight it out. But it's also the media. I mean, the media which is wholly owned and operated subsidiary of the left, the media has this great gig going on. They define the terms by which you can be identified as racist or sexist. And then they say, oh, the thing about racism, the first thing about racism is you don't know you're racist. You don't know. You go like, I'm not racist. Ha ha. See, that's a sign. That's a sign you're racist. When you say you're not racist, that means you're racist, because if you knew you were racist, then you wouldn't be racist. You're like, huh? I'm a what? It's like talking to Freudians back in the day. Remember the Freudian psychiatrists? You want to sleep with your mother. Sleep with my mother. Have you seen my mother? I don't even like my mother. See, you wouldn't say that if you didn't want to sleep with your mother. So they know you're racist. So you don't know you're racist. But they know you're racist because they can hear the dog whistle. So you say, I think a country needs a border. Every country on earth has always had a border. We should secure our borders because people are coming across in the South. The South, those people are brown. You're racist. I'm not racist. Ha ha, got you. See, if you were racist, if you weren't racist, you wouldn't have said you're not racist, because that means you're racist. So they get you. So this is what Republicans are dealing with. And of course, if Democrats say, oh yes, Barack Obama, he's a clean Negro who should be serving us coffee, but just happened to, remember all that stuff Joe Biden and Bill Clinton were saying about Barack Obama, incredibly racist, superior, arrogant stuff. That was fine. No dog whistles there, because it's all really about politics. But if you say, wow, Obama, these are dark days, it's dark. See, that dark, you got the dark. I heard the dark. You said dark, you're racist. I'm not racist. See, that proves it. So Republicans have been dealing with that for 30, 40 years, and they're like abused children. They're afraid to speak, and they back down because they're constantly being told, oh, you have to do this or you're racist. You have to do this or you're sexist. This time, they finally figured out they have to stand up, led by a little bit by Trump, who came out and backed Brett Kavanaugh yesterday, but really by Kavanaugh, who finally started to talk back. He went on Martha McCallum's Fox show, The Story, and he just said he is not going to stand down. So play cut number 2.
I'm not going to let false accusations drive us out of this process, and we're looking for a fair process where I can be heard and defend my integrity, my lifelong record of promoting dignity and equality for women, starting with the women who knew me when I was 14 years old. I'm not going anywhere.
See, this is a big deal because they were depending on him to run for it. They keep thinking if they can just break the spines of the spineless Republicans and he folds, then they've won. The New York Times had a headline. I just kind of gave the game away today. the Democratic dream: defeat Kavanaugh, win the Senate, and stop Trump's Supreme Court picks. In other words, let's not let this election have consequences. It's okay for elections to have consequences when we win them, but not when the other side wins them. And here they quote a guy, Brian Fallon, a campaign advisor to Hillary Clinton. He says, saving the Supreme Court from Trump's clutches has always involved a very complicated two-step. First, block Kavanaugh, then fight like hell to win back the Senate. And remember, they're using the Anita Hill playbook. But the whole thing is, you have to remember this, they lost with Anita Hill because Clarence Thomas stood up to him and said, this is a lynching. So maybe, we were talking yesterday about how they rewrite all history in their television shows and their movies, and those movies and televisions redefine history, but history, real history, remains the same. It doesn't get rewritten by HBO. It doesn't get rewritten in the movies. History remains the same, and they lost. They could not stop Clarence Thomas. And now they're thinking, hey, that's an idea. What if we stand up? So even Mitch McConnell took to the Senate floor yesterday and made what for him was a powerful speech defending their nominee.
Democrats have signaled for months they'd put on whatever performance the far left special interests demanded and throw all the mud they could manufacture. Well, it's not like they didn't warn us. But even by the far left standards, this shameful smear campaign has hit a new low. I'll get into the specifics in just a moment. But I want to be perfectly clear about what has taken place. Senate Democrats and their allies are trying to destroy a man's personal and professional life on the basis of decades-old allegations that are unsubstantiated and uncorroborated. That, Mr. President, is where we are. This is what the so-called resistance has become.
I mean, for Mitch, that's a tantrum. Like, that's for Mitch McConnell, that is the moral equivalent of throwing a table across the room. That was a very forceful, he's not exactly the most dramatic speaker, but that was a very forceful speech. And it put up a signal. No, we're standing. He says, we are going to vote on this. This is coming to a vote. It is going to get past the committee. So going back to this interview with Martha MacCallum, Kavanaugh says he was never even at Ford's party. I mean, this is the thing. The things, the stuff they're throwing at him now are so unsubstantiated that it's just not fair. It's not fair to knock him down on the basis of this. He says he was never at this party. He never was in the town. He wasn't in the town when they were doing it. But the big one was that Michael Avenatti thing, where Michael Avenatti said, we have evidence that he and Mark Judge were kind of going to these parties and organizing gang rapes. And so Martha MacCallum asked him about that. And this was a very dramatic conversation. Number three.
That's totally false and outrageous. Never done any such thing, known about any such thing. When I was in high school, and I went to an all-boys Catholic high school, a Jesuit high school, where I was focused on academics and athletics, going to church every Sunday at Little Flower, working on my service projects, and friendship with my fellow classmates, and friendship with girls from the local all-girls Catholic schools. And yes, there were parties, and the drinking age was 18, and yes, the seniors were legal and had beer there. And yes, people might have had too many beers on occasion, and people generally in high school, I think all of us have probably done things we look back on in high school and regret or cringe a bit, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about an allegation of sexual assault. I've never sexually assaulted anyone. I did not have sexual intercourse or anything close to sexual intercourse in high school or for many years thereafter. And the girls from the schools I went to and I were friends.
So you're saying that through all these years that are in question, you were a virgin?
That's correct.
Never had sexual intercourse with anyone in high school?
Correct. And
through what years in college, since we're probing into your personal life here?
Many years after. I'll leave it at that. Many years after.
Oh my God, a virgin. What is he, Mike Pence? Remember how they went after Mike Pence? Because he said he wouldn't go out with a woman alone. What are you afraid of, Mike? You're afraid that 35 years later she's going to accuse you of something you didn't do? I mean, it is amazing. You can't win. You can't win if you're Mike Pence. You're a horrible, crazy Christian who doesn't like women. And if you go out with a girl, who knows, they may crucify you later on. So now it turns out the guy's a virgin. And listen, that was in answer to Michael Avenatti's charge, creepy, as Tucker Carlson calls him, creepy porn lawyer. Listen to Avenatti's response. It is unbelievable.
So what exactly is he saying? Is he saying that he did not have sexual intercourse? And are we going to get into a definition?
That's the word he used.
Exactly. Well, exactly. I mean, are we going to get into a definition of sexual intercourse? I mean, does that mean that he performed oral sex or had oral sex performed on him? Does that mean any host of any other sexual activities occurred? Or does he want America to believe that the only thing that he did until well into his college years was effectively kiss or French kiss a woman? Is that what he wants America to believe?
Well,
because
if the
I don't believe it.
Well, what if the senators do? Does that clear him?
Well, I don't believe it, and I think it shows that he's lying.
It shows that he's lying because he doesn't believe it. Hey, when I think of the things I've done, he can't possibly have done that. It's like, you're not too sleazy, Mike. You're just right. And the funny thing is now, by the way, he's locked his Twitter account. Why? Because I don't think I thought he thought they were going to fold. I think they all thought he was going to fold, and they all thought the Republicans were going to fold. Listen to, here's Cheryl Gay Stolberg from the New York Times, who suddenly realized, wait, conservatives are fighting back, and she can't believe it. Listen to what she says.
They're kind of circling the wagons around Judge Kavanaugh. You saw President Trump come out today and say he stands by him. He's with him all the way. We're told Senator Mitch McConnell is going to make a full-throated endorsement of Judge Kavanaugh when he takes the Senate floor this afternoon. We're already seeing statements from people like Orrin Hatch and Tom Cotton, both Republican senators, saying, let's go ahead with the hearing and go ahead with the vote. And they're attacking Democrats as running a smear campaign. And I think, this is actually galvanizing conservatives, believe it or not. Conservatives are telling me that they are more than ever behind Judge Kavanaugh, that they feel that he's being unfairly attacked. And as you know, we're in the middle of a midterm election season. So this is apparently riling up the conservative base, just as the stories from these women are energizing Democrats, especially Democratic women.
Believe it or not, she says, she cannot believe it. When we lie about you, you're supposed to fold. When we start hurling these, baseless accusations on you, you are supposed to back down. Let's see what happens if they stand their ground. I think it is going to be a good thing.